Hello, Sylacauga. We're down here in the mayor's office right here in Sylacauga, and I got with me Mayor Jim Heigl, and we're going to talk a few things about Sylacauga. So, thank you for talking with us, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming to Sylacauga and being here at the City Hall. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I possibly can. And
Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We're just going to talk a little bit.
well, I'm glad to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one I got on my paper here is can you tell us about how much more our budget is this year than it was last year?
Last year was over 17 million, and this year, what I need for the city is about 19,022,000.
And a lot of this has got to do with inflation, right?
It does. What hit the city's our departments here is utilities went up 30%. We've got gasoline that went up about 30%, and then we got the insurance that went up 7.5% for all our employees and retirees.
Right.
So all that had to be taken in, and even though with the big jump in the revenue we had was great, but the problem is now inflation done ate all that up.
That's right.
Go from 17 to 19 million.
Right.
It hurts.
Now, this next subject, I know you're really involved in, and I'm super want it to get done, and we'll just dive into it. Let's talk about the swimming pool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Now,
Well, as you know, that Chambers and King out of Montgomery has been hired to come up here, and architects to lay out. We've already met 4 times,
right?
and the last meeting last night was on 6 areas what they were proposing that the city look at. I was opposed to number 1 because it's on 21. There are 2 drainage ditches that run through that property, and there's also, I think it's better for some kind of business or restaurant, something's going to bring retail and revenue into the city. And of course, Food World building, I think that one was dropped as well because of the railroad tracks and the areas in that area. And it's also sitting on the old munitions plant where they used to.
We don't know what that soil
We
is.
don't know what they're gonna find underneath it if they would decide to dig a pool.
Right.
But that's something environmental they'll have to look at. They've already looked at the building, there's no asbestos in there. And we've already had 7 people who wanted the building,
Right.
but now the council decided to go ahead and try and sell it. And also, they looked at the Avondale property where the Comer complex is at, which is a great place for all outdoor facilities and probably some indoor, depending on the size of the building. But the Dairyland property, they could have so many tennis courts, soccer fields, baseball fields, softball fields. That would hold a lot.
Right.
But as far as the indoor pool and all, I think it needs to be closer in town.
Right.
I would look at the street going beside it, and the property across there, I think was available for sale at one time. Take what we've got, revamp that area there, and get that pool back into service, and dig it out and make it bigger if you have to. You know what you're going to do.
Right.
But the kids in town, it's so easy for them with the sidewalks and the way we have to cross the streets now with the red lights and everything else. A lot safer for them here. If you put a pool out there at the Comer complexes, which would be fine with me, if they wanted to do that. But how are the kids going to get out there? You're always going to have to provide some kind of transportation.
That's right.
And but I would like to see them. I wish the pool we could utilize it for about a year or 2 until we could get all this areas out with Chambers and King and get out. But they're going to have a public hearing next week,
Right.
and the public have the opportunity to put a voice in that as well, which is good. We need that. We need their input.
Right.
The council needs to hear this.
Right.
The Parks and Rec Board needs to hear this.
Right. Mr. Mayor, I'm all about the future, but right now I'm interested in the present. We need a pool in Sylacauga yesterday. Our kids need to learn how to swim. We got competition we have. I guess what I'm trying to say, Mr. Mayor, don't you think it might be feasible right now, the way inflation is and everything, without the sales tax that we're possibly going to be discussing here pretty soon, don't you think it might be feasible for right now at this time to fix our old pool up, and then let's talk about this stuff in the future after we get some monies to do it with?
Yeah. Well, I know the need for a pool. That Gates sent me to aquatic school in North Carolina years ago. And I came back as a lifeguard and the water safety instructor at the municipal pool for years. And I know how important it is, for swimming to learn to swim. And also what the fact it has on the elderly people who get in those pools and walk around for their cardiac or respiratory issues, and it helps them. But now there hasn't been buses to tell that. But we'd have to look at the revenue, what it would take to fix it. I know at one time we got, gentleman offered, well, this was about 3 or 4 years ago, $180,000 to fix it, guaranteed for 3 to 5 years. But the plans were to go ahead and have a indoor community center by this time. Of course, with the economy and everything else, we weren't able to do it.
Right.
And those are plans, but we need to forget about that and start all over.
Right. Let's don't even talk about the past.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the
Yeah.
present
Yeah.
and the future.
Yeah.
And
But it'll be up to you and the people to convince the council and the Parks and Rec on fixing that pool.
Right.
And maintaining it for whatever.
now, to get some of these things that we want to get done around the city, we might have to have a sales increase. You think that's possible?
Well, that depends on the council. They're the ones that make that decision. But I would probably have to sign off on it. I would want all 5 districts on board with this thing. I would
Right.
want 2 to 3 or something like that. I think it needs to be all people of Sylacauga needs to have a voice in this.
That's
And
right.
I think all 5 councilmen, all 5 districts need to be on board with it.
That's right. And we're gonna have some public meetings coming up, and we want to encourage the citizens, come show up at these things, voice your opinion. That's why they're open to the public,
They
right?
are. Anytime you got 3 councilmen meeting together, you got a right to be there as a quorum.
Now, Mr. Mayor, say we do pass, say the council does pass, a 1 to 2 cent sales tax. Do you think this increase will help us out a lot?
Sure it will.
Yeah.
That'll take care of a lot of things. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
It's it may not seem like much, but when you start putting it together with the amount of tax revenue we're coming in with now, it's going to be a nice pile. You'll have more than enough than what you want to do with the Chambers game.
Right, and these spots at Chambliss and King, they're great.
Well, they're architects. They're making a proposal to you.
Right, right.
And they'll draw it out for you the way you want it. And then, of course, you have to get an engineer in there
Right.
and look at it and get all that put together.
But after they come up with these proposals, we do want to encourage the citizens to come up and voice their opinion. Take a look at what's possibly for the future of Sylacauga. And
For our young people and elder people.
right, and the money's not there right now, but it could be later on. But right now, Mr. Mayor, we need a pool.
I know a lot of people, well, it's going to be up to the people to get up there and voice their opinion.
Right.
And get before the council and the Parks and Rec and talk to the board.
This is not saying that we're against what these
Well,
things.
no, you want it in the future,
Right, we
But
want it in the
This may
future.
be another, pool's been down, 4 years?
Right,
Gosh, this may be another 4 years. We don't know, the
Right.
economy the way it is.
right. And are we moving in the right direction here in Sylacauga?
Well, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to maintain. I'm responsible for all 7 departments. I need to make sure they got the equipment and the tools they need to provide the services to the people of Sylacauga that they deserve.
Right,
And that's the main thing, I've always, in 2014, I told them I was gonna run for mayor because I wanted the street department to have some decent equipment to work with, and we got it. We got
Right.
backhoes, trackhoes, front end loaders and all that was very important, and thank God we had it when that storm came through. We've been in trouble if we hadn't.
But
Now we got a new street sweeper coming, our city's getting clean, people are taking interest in their buildings, they're facelifting them and looking so much greater.
right, they are, and people starting to care like,
They are. Even the homes are being
yes,
upgraded,
Yes, everybody our streets are looking better, people is more involved now. We got clubs, churches, boards, everybody's getting involved
with it.
which
It
is a
is.
good thing.
Absolutely.
And one thing we talk about, what about some of these properties that was brought up? Do you see what can you see in the future, Mr. Mayor?
What kind of properties, or are you talking about
Well,
the
I'm
6 that were proposed?
I'm particularly talking about the one across from Noble Park over there. Are you talking about maybe some retail businesses
Well, that's
coming
what
in?
that was number 1 on the list, what
Right.
Chambers came brought out. It's, I forget how many acreage it was in there.
I think it's like 25.
Yeah, and that counts the hill. You got a big hill up there with a water tank on it. The
Right.
tank's still there, and you got a settling pond next to it for overflow, keep it from flooding and lower. But I think that area, something nice could go on top of that mountain. But right now, the only way you can get up there is go down 13th Street and cut it across. They got a road up there, but it's blocked off now. But that lower area down there, I thought it'd be good. That's tax revenue.
Right.
21 is a corridor.
Yes,
through
sir.
Here. And the people come through there. They ask about traffic count. I don't know what it is, but I imagine it's quite
It's
substantial.
a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot
It's a
of traffic.
lot.
And you put some kind of business in there that bring tax revenue into the city and jobs.
That's right.
That's what I look at.
That's right.
But they have other areas that are great,
Right.
if they wanted to utilize them. They talked about the for sale property out there across by Home Depot.
Right.
That's a great bit of acreage out there. And Harbor Investments, they were looking at. They came to us twice, wanting us to help them invest in it, but we couldn't invest in it at that time.
Right, right. Of our serving departments, we're doing pretty good now.
We're fairly sensitive, but like I said, the cost of gas has hit us, and my budget is going up to
Like you said, that
maybe
insurance is
22,000
just
insurance and the gas, and also the utilities that went up 30% on us. And
30%.
yeah. And the utilities board, they got hit with this, and they had to pass the electric on to us. That's what 30%. But also the sewage and water and gas went up.
Right.
But they were eating that themselves.
Right.
But they just could not take on the water. This is the first time that I've known. I've been fooling with this since 2006, and this is the first time that the utilities board has not been able to increase the amount of benefits to the city.
Right.
Usually, our last year was 2.6 million. This year, it's level.
Right.
They couldn't add to it.
Right. Mr. Mayor, of the 7 departments, one little thing I want to talk about and we need to try to get some more people involved is our animal shelter. I know the lady out there, she's fixing to retire, and we need some help at the animal shelter. So anyone looking for a job, we got you one at the animal
It's
shelter.
being posted now.
Right.
Somebody who wants to come out there. That's another thing. Politics got into that years ago. I know I fooled with it myself over the years. But we thought the best way to go, taking Reed Cappy, he's always been overseeing the animal shelter and never got a bit of compensation for it either.
Right.
After all these years, never been compensated for nothing. But we found out that it's best to hire a director and an assistant, and then have 3 other technicians out there for cleanup and everything else. And that way, it would allow the director and assistant director to swap out weekend. They has to be maintained 7 days a week.
7 days a
They
week.
have to be fed. They have to be cleaned up and water.
There's a lot involved in an animal shelter.
Well, there is, and we're slap dab full. I
Right.
mean, we're full. Thank goodness for the what is it? The animals of Avondale.
Yes, sir.
What they call
yes,
that?
sir. The Friends of Avondale. Yes, sir.
Well, those animals, they've done a wonderful job. They put thousands of dollars into the system to help us get these dogs
Right.
out of Sylacauga and Karen and
Right.
other places that are adopted.
Right.
But right now it's all being, and labor's the biggest part. And they come out there, we get some technicians to help us with cleanup and feeding, and they're gone.
Right.
We've tried tent floors, we tried everything else, and it's hard. Labor's really hurt us bad.
It has. It
It's
has.
hurting our police department. They're down 7 officers. Thank goodness our fire department now, they are all fires, no volunteers in fire department anymore. They're all permanent employees.
Right.
And they got their shifts laid out what they can.
Right.
And that's worked out good. Street department is down. We're hurting there. We're hurting in the animal shelter. We're about ready to replace the people in the clerk's office. And we got 2 openings down there we're trying to fill now, and all that'll be brought before the Civil Service Board to set their job descriptions.
Right.
And then we'll be able to post those jobs.
Right. So if anybody's looking for a job in the city, a policeman, you want to work for the street department, the animal shelter, we should come up here to City Hall and see Miss Jane McGee. She is the HR director here, and she will fix you up with an application packet. And if you need a job, we got one, Mr. Mayor.
Well, we sure have, and don't only look at the salaries, which we're going to start increasing shortly, but also look at the benefits, which you're going to get. Your health insurance, dental insurance, eyeglasses.
Right. State retirement.
Yeah, that's state retirement, yeah.
Right, it's right.
All that falls in there, you know, and
Right.
that's where I always look at, when I was with Kimberly Clark, I always looked at the benefits more than I did the hourly wage,
right.
because that's something you can fall back on, and thank God
Well, you
I
know,
got good insurance, you know.
I did too, Mr. Mayor, but you know, we kind of start looking at those things when we get later on in life. When you,
Yeah,
when
you're on
you,
way too late.
when you first go to work, all you're interested in is what you gonna on that check every
Yeah,
Friday.
you wanna see what's on the hill.
But if you think and listen to somebody, that retirement means a lot.
Yeah, it does, it means a lot, and the years of service means a lot.
Mr. Mayor, I'm proud of the direction that you're taking our city in.
Well, we've got a lot of good people here.
We got
It's
some
all
good
working
people.
together, what makes it happen.
That's right. And is there anything we missed you'd like to discuss?
Well, no, not really. We'll just have to wait on the council. This is the first time in a number of years we've had to carry the budget over the month of October. I've always tried to put, I started in July,
Right.
in August, and try to get the budget in September. But this economy is taking a bite on us. We got hit by things we weren't expecting.
Right.
But we have to live with it. It's going, like I said, it's going to be up to the council. Mine is $19,022,000, you know, for the 7 departments, not counting the appropriations.
And that's a couple million over what we had last
It
year.
is.
And it's mainly
Over
because
me.
of inflation.